Hello and welcome to the Business Octopus live stream. My name is Avon Collis and I am CRM and Marketing Automation Specialist at Relevate. So today we're going to be talking through some problems, questions, queries, things that we get every week, a bit of a synopsis and a summary. And feel free, if you're watching this, you can add questions to the comments here. Please, if you're watching, please go over to YouTube, give us a like, a subscribe, and a comment. Most of our videos, our podcasts are over there, so we'd love for you to go and help support. But also, there's tons of content, how-to guides, other episodes, podcasts, interviews over there. So now, what I wanted to do was quickly go through and talk about. We have a MarTech community as well that we're trying to grow. So we have a lot of students, customers, partners. People building their knowledge around marketing and technology, centered around marketing. So today I'm going to discuss something around about a LinkedIn post that I saw, which kind of made a really clear, comparison between two demographic profiles that were exactly the same, however, two very, very different people. So they were both white males. They were both over 50. I think there was even 60 or 70. Age was exactly the same. They're both wealthy people. They both live in a castle, and they're both famous. So who are these people? They are very, very different in the way they lived their life, the way they got famous, the way they got wealthy, and the kind of products they would buy, the kinds of things that they would do, the places they would shop, the areas that they would hang out, the drinks and the food that they would consume. So why use demographics if there's such a difference between the two? Now, to give you the direct answer, it is Ozzy Osbourne and Prince Charles. So two very different people, two very different positions in their life, two very different decision-making processes and or capacities, two different purchasing types. I would imagine that one would buy a jet ski and the other one would never buy a jet ski. So why is demographics always used every time someone is trying to work out who their ideal customer is? If they're trying to build a customer profile in their own business, they're always using, the first word I hear everyone say is demographics. But why? Like, if there's such a difference between those two people, you've got one is a heavy metal rock band leader, and the other one was born into or married into, I don't know the specifics there, into royalty, and has a very wealthy upbringing, always wears a suit, always very professional and presentable, and does diplomatic activities. So, excuse me, the difference between these two is dramatic. So if you're going to do a customer profile and you're trying to think, all right, well, what coffee are they going to drink? Maybe coffee's a little bit different. Maybe they might drink the same, but maybe what kind of car are they going to drive? Or what kind of house are they going to buy? I already mentioned that they both have a castle, but I'd imagine even still those castles would be very different between them as well. Obviously, one's Buckingham Palace and the other one's probably an older or a different one that was like a lord or something like that, or even a self-built one out of cinder blocks instead of stone and that sort of thing. So the idea that these people would do things the same is not wrong. There would be some things that are very similar. They probably use the same brand of toothpaste as an example. But demographics is not always a really good measure of the kind of person. It's certainly not the sole measure. Maybe you want to understand if they can afford your service. So the demographic needs to include their salary expectation. So they maybe earn more than $60,000 a year. Great, they qualify for your service, or they can afford your service. But if they earn more than $2 million, they're not going to buy your service because they're going to buy the next top range one. Or maybe whilst yours might be cost effective and affordable, they want the all bells and whistles. Or maybe they're rich because they always bought the cheap no frills brand version, and so they never really spent lots of money on things. Look at Warren Buffett. Lives in a simple 4 or 5 bedroom home, pretty standard for a home, a family in that area. Drives a secondhand car. It's not a souped up Mercedes. It's not a stretched limo. It's a normal car, a sedan type of thing. It's not bottom of the range, but at the same token, it's probably had a previous owner. So the first $10,000 or $20,000 of value has been wiped off the slate. It's probably been driven like 20 kilometers, or was it 20,000 kilometers? So it's got pretty low mileage. Sure, he doesn't get to choose what color leather he wants and the type of mag wheels that he wants, but that's not really important to him. What's important to him is a mode of transport that's reasonably comfortable, that's going to have a life, and then probably a good resale value. The types of decisions that these people are making is not about their salary. It's not about their perhaps race, perhaps their location that they live in. So a wealthy person in England might behave very differently to a wealthy person in the US, and they make different life decisions. So one of the things I really wanted to talk about was the other dimensions that you need to look at. So whilst demographics is a dimension, it's probably very, very broad. The next one that I like to use is ethnographics. And this is a very cultural thing. So the ethnographics is something around, for example, what football team you go for. So if you went for, I don't know, the Bombers or something in AFL. So one, there's a code of football. Is it rugby? Is it AFL? Is it soccer? Is it lacrosse? Whatever it is, it's got a group that surrounds it. The rugby people don't like the AFL and vice versa. And so that ethnographic means you're kind of part of a group, you're part of a club, and you think in a similar way. So there might be that they all like meat pies at the footy, or they all like, a certain type of watch or something like that. Like there's other dimensions and elements that are put into that mix of defining who that type of person is. Excuse me. The next one to look at is maybe if you're looking at selling to companies is thermographics. Maybe there's a key number of staff, a key turnover range, a key industry type. Sometimes it could be a combination of all of these. So demographic, ethnographics, thermographics, psychographics, which is sort of like the way people think. And one of the examples of this, there's a company called Lush. They're a soap brand. They certainly took the world by storm in terms of being a franchise, and I see them everywhere. But all they do is sell soap. Why is soap so important? Well, they kind of they got into an area like everybody uses soap. Not everyone uses fancy soap. Some people just want whatever's at the supermarket. Some people just want the cheapest bar soap that they can find. Other people like the liquid soaps. But these ones are also, they look fancy, they smell fancy, they're more homely, sort of homemade looking, very rustic style. And, they've got a very, their branding position is centered around people who are a massive cross section. So you've got everything from, a plumber that loves a nice bath with some scented bubbles, all the way through to, someone in the white collar, or maybe someone in, normal sort of someone who works at the supermarket, or, someone who works at the sewage plant. I'm pretty sure they want to use a nice soap at the end of the day. But it's such a cross section, men, women, every cross section in between. And you've got all of these people that are flocking to a brand, to an idea, rather than to they're living in area code 123. They have X amount of salary. All of these demographic data seems really, really irrelevant. But in saying that, they're using a cultural thing. People like, feeling nice or cleanliness, or there's some other elements to it that isn't just demographics. And Lush has done really, really well. They've actually piggybacked onto a lot of environmental campaigns. So a lot of them have like vegan soaps or ones that are like they use brown paper and they try not to use plastic. So they've gone for down that environmental path, and that has what connected a lot of the customers to be thinking the same way. So if they attach themselves to those marketing locations, to those ideals, then they're likely to find a group of people that think similar and maybe talk similar and that sort of thing. So those different dimensions that they're looking at to evaluate, to group, to categorize these people are what is giving them their success. So anyway, thought for the day was demographics is not the only way, and in fact, it's probably only 10% of the picture on who you're looking at. It's not the only way to categorize and decide upon who you are selling to. Okay. So thank you for watching. It's a nice, short, sharp one today. You can find out more about Relevate at relevate.com.au. If you would like to ask questions, please put them in the chat. If you'd like to give us a like and a comment, don't forget to go over to YouTube and subscribe. We've got tons of tips, tricks, and podcasts over there. So thank you again for listening, and you take care.